At 0600 hours on June 22, 1941, the German Wehrmacht crosses the Soviet border with 3 million men. 24-year-old Lyudmila Pavlichenko is in her 4th year at Kiev University studying history. She intends to become a teacher. By 0800 hours, she is at the Odessa recruiting office volunteering for infantry duty. The registrars push her toward nursing. She refuses. She demands a rifle. They laugh. She lists her qualifications from sniper school. They remain skeptical. Give her a test, they decide. 2 Romanian officers are working with the Germans on a Soviet-defended hill. Shoot them both. 1,000 meters distance. Prove you belong in the infantry. Pavlichenko takes the offered Mosin Nagant model 1890-130 rifle. She chambers a 7.62 by 54 mm rimmed cartridge. The rifle weighs 3.9 kilograms without the scope, 4.3 kilograms with the PU sight attached. Overall length is 1,230 millimeters. The bolt action is simple and reliable. 5-round internal magazine. Rate of fire, 10 to 12 rounds per minute in trained hands. Effective range with telescopic sight extends to 800 meters. Maximum range exceeds 2,000 meters. The cartridge delivers 2,650 joules of muzzle energy, enough to kill at any combat distance. She settles into firing position. Acquires first target through the 3.5 power PU scope. Romanian officer 1,000 meters distant. The wind is light. Temperature moderate. No correction needed. She exhales slowly. Squeezes trigger. The rifle kicks hard against her shoulder. The Romanian falls. She cycles the bolt smoothly. Chambers second round. Acquires second target. Same range. Same conditions. Fires. Second Romanian drops. 2 shots. 2 kills. She hands back the rifle and stands waiting. The registrars look at each other. They enlist her immediately into the 25th Rifle Division, named after Vasily Chapayev. Those 2 Romanians do not count toward her official tally, she insists later. They were test shots. Her count begins after enlistment. This is how Lyudmila Pavlichenko becomes Private Pavlichenko of the Red Army. This is how a history student becomes Lady Death. This is how 309 fascist invaders die. Lyudmila Mikhailovna Belova is born July 12, 1916 in Belaya Tserkov, a large Ukrainian city south of Kyiv. Her father works in a St. Petersburg factory. Her mother teaches school. The family is working class, not wealthy, not destitute, comfortable enough. Lyudmila describes herself as a tomboy growing up, unruly in the classroom, athletic, competitive. She refuses to be outdone by boys in anything. When a neighbor boy boasts about his achievements at a shooting range, she decides immediately to prove that girls can shoot as well as boys. She begins target practice with determination. Age 14 brings relocation to Kiev with her family. She takes a job at an arms plant assembling weapons. The work is precise and teaches her mechanical understanding of firearms. She joins a shooting club and earns her Voroshilov sharpshooter badge, a civil decoration and marksmanship certificate. In 1937, she enrolls at Kiev University with intentions of becoming a historian and teacher. She competes on the university track team as a sprinter and pole vaulter. To perfect her shooting skills further, she takes courses at a sniper school while attending university. The training is comprehensive. Camouflage techniques, target identification, range estimation, wind reading, fieldcraft, patience. The curriculum prepares students for military service should war come. War comes. The first months of Operation Barbarossa are catastrophic for the Soviet Union. German armored columns penetrate hundreds of kilometers. Entire Soviet armies are encircled and destroyed. Minsk falls. Smolensk falls. Kiev is threatened. The Red Army reels backward. Millions of Soviet soldiers are killed or captured in the opening weeks. The situation is desperate. Every soldier matters. Every weapon matters. Every bullet matters. Private Pavlichenko arrives at the front in late June 1941. The siege of Odessa begins August 5, 1941 and continues until October 16. Romanian Fourth Army, supported by German forces, attacks the city. Soviet Coastal Army defends. The fighting is savage. House to house, street to street. The defenders are outnumbered but determined. They will make the Romanians and Germans pay for every block. Pay in blood. Pavlichenko fights here for 2.5 months. She records 187 confirmed kills during this period. 187 enemy soldiers dead from her rifle. The number requires witnesses for each kill. Soviet sniper doctrine demands verification. A spotter must observe the target being hit, must confirm the target does not rise again. Only then does the kill count toward official tally. She is promoted to senior sergeant upon reaching 100 kills. The promotion recognizes her effectiveness, her skill, her value to the unit. But it also makes her a target herself. The Germans and Romanians learn there are Soviet snipers operating. They respond with their own sharpshooters. Counter-sniper operations begin, the most dangerous form of warfare for a sniper. Sniper versus sniper duels where the loser dies and the winner survives. Pavlichenko fights 36 such duels during the war. She wins all 36, never loses, never even gets wounded during a sniper duel. Her opponents all die. The technique requires patience beyond normal understanding. Some duels last 15 to 20 hours continuously. One lasts 3 full days, 72 hours lying in position without moving, without eating, without sleeping properly, waiting for the enemy sniper to make one small mistake, expose himself for one moment, reveal his position through one careless movement. She describes these experiences as among the most tense of her entire life. The endurance required, the willpower needed to maintain absolute discipline, the knowledge that any error means death. Finally, the enemy makes one move too many, one shift of position, one glimpse of equipment, one reflection from glass. She fires. The enemy sniper dies. She survives. This pattern repeats 36 times. Her partner during many operations is Sergeant Major Leonid Kitsenko. He was wounded at Odessa at the same time she was hit. They recover together. They fight together. They become close. Accounts suggest they marry, though records are unclear. He understands her completely because he is also a sniper. They speak the same language, share the same experiences, know the same fears. In early spring 1942, a German shell kills him. He dies in her arms. She continues fighting with renewed fury. Every German she kills afterward is revenge for Leonid. Personal revenge. The war becomes personal in ways it was not before. October 15, 1941 brings the fall of Odessa. Romanian forces overwhelm the defenses. The Soviet command orders evacuation. The Black Sea Fleet extracts thousands of soldiers and civilians by ship. Pavlichenko and her unit are transported to Sevastopol on the Crimean Peninsula. The city is considered defensible. Mountains protect the approaches. The harbor provides naval support. The Soviets will hold Sevastopol. They must hold it. If Sevastopol falls, the entire Crimea falls. If the Crimea falls, the gateway to the Caucasus opens. The Caucasus contains Soviet oil fields. Germany needs that oil desperately. Sevastopol must not fall. The siege of Sevastopol begins October 29, 1941 and continues until July 4, 1942. 8 months of continuous combat. Artillery bombardment is constant. German and Romanian guns fire thousands of shells daily. Luftwaffe bombers attack relentlessly. The city is gradually destroyed. Buildings collapse. Fortifications are pulverized. Casualties mount. Yet the defenders hold. They refuse to surrender, refuse to retreat. They fight from rubble, fight from ruins, fight from underground positions. They fight until killed or evacuated. There is no other option. Pavlichenko operates throughout the siege. She trains other snipers when not hunting targets herself. The snipers she trains are credited with killing over 100 Axis soldiers during the battle. She shares her knowledge, her techniques, her experience. Teaching helps her unit, helps the defense, helps the Soviet war effort. But primarily she hunts. Day after day, week after week, month after month, the tally climbs. 200, 220, 240. In May 1942, she is cited by the Southern Army Council for killing 257 Axis soldiers. She is promoted to lieutenant. She promises to kill more. She keeps that promise. The Germans know about her by this point. Lady Death, her enemies call her. Radio loudspeakers broadcast messages attempting to bribe her. Lyudmila Pavlichenko, come over to us. We will give you plenty of chocolate and make you a German officer. The offer is absurd. She ignores it. The messages continue. Threats replace bribes. If we catch you, we will tear you into 309 pieces and scatter them to the winds. She finds this threat delightful. The enemy knows her accurate count. They respect her enough to threaten specifically. This pleases her. The threat confirms her effectiveness, confirms German fear, confirms she is winning the personal war. Early June 1942 brings massive German offensive. Operation Sturgeon. The final assault on Sevastopol. 11 divisions attack. 600 artillery pieces, including massive 800mm Gustav gun and 600mm Karl mortar, pound the defenses. Luftwaffe commits hundreds of aircraft. The bombardment is unprecedented. Soviet defensive positions simply cease to exist under this firepower. The defenders fight on anyway. June 10th. 1942 brings disaster for Pavlichenko. Morning brings artillery barrage heavier than usual. She is moving between positions. Mortar shell lands nearby. Shrapnel strikes her face. Multiple fragments penetrate. Blood streams down. Pain is intense. Immediate evacuation to field hospital. Examination reveals serious but not fatal wounds. Face requires surgical repair. She needs at least 1 month recovery. She will survive. She will not return to frontline combat. The Soviet High Command makes that decision. Pavlichenko is too valuable as propaganda asset, too valuable as training instructor, too valuable to risk in further combat. Her fighting days are over at age 25 with 309 confirmed kills. The number breaks down specifically. 309 total confirmed kills. 36 are enemy snipers killed in sniper duels. 100 are officers specifically targeted for elimination. Command personnel, artillery spotters. Anyone whose death disrupts enemy operations. The remainder are regular infantry, soldiers at machine gun positions, sentries, troops moving between positions. Everyone who presents a target dies if she can reach them. The statistics are remarkable. 309 kills in less than 1 year of combat. From late June 1941 to early June 1942, approximately 11 months. That averages roughly 28 kills per month. Nearly 1 kill per day for 11 months continuously. Other Soviet snipers achieve higher totals during the war. Mikhail Ilyich Surkov is credited with 702 kills, Ivan Mikhailovich Sidorenko with 500, Nikolai Yakovlevich Ilyin with 494, Vasily Grigorievich Zaitsev with 242 in Stalingrad alone. But Pavlichenko is the most successful female sniper in history. 2,000 female snipers serve in the Red Army during World War II. Only 500 survive the war. 75% casualty rate. Pavlichenko is among the survivors, among the most effective, among the most famous. July 1942 brings evacuation from Sevastopol by submarine. She travels to Novorossiysk, then to Moscow. Recovery period follows. Surgery repairs facial damage. Scars remain. Physical wounds heal. Psychological wounds do not. She experiences what modern medicine calls post-traumatic stress disorder. Dreams haunt her. Memories return unbidden. The faces of 309 dead men. The sound of rifle shots. The smell of cordite and blood and death. These sensations never leave. They become permanent companions. Veterans understand. Civilians do not. The gap between combat experience and civilian life is unbridgeable. Her next mission is propaganda. The Soviet Union desperately needs the Western allies to open a second front in Europe. Take pressure off the Eastern Front. Force Germany to divide its forces. Currently, the Soviet Union fights Germany almost alone. Millions of Soviet citizens are dying. Hundreds of thousands weekly. The British fight in North Africa, but this is secondary theater. The Americans are organizing but not yet committed in Europe. Soviet leadership needs Western action. Needs it urgently. Needs it now. August 1942 brings delegation traveling to the United States. 3 Soviet citizens. Pavlichenko, Vladimir Pchelintsev, a fellow sniper, Nikolai Kravchenko, Moscow Fuel Commissioner. Their mission is to convince Americans that the Second Front is necessary, that Soviet sacrifice demands Western support, that defeating Hitler requires combined Allied effort. The delegation arrives in Washington, D.C. on August 27, 1942. Pavlichenko becomes the first Soviet citizen to visit the White House. She meets President Franklin Delano Roosevelt briefly, then speaks with First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt at length. The meeting changes both their lives. Eleanor Roosevelt is immediately fascinated by this young Soviet woman, 25 years old, university student. 309 kills. The contradictions are remarkable. Soft-spoken, educated, articulate. Also a killer, also hardened by combat. Also scarred physically and psychologically. Eleanor sees past the uniform, sees the person, offers friendship. Pavlichenko accepts. The American press treats Pavlichenko abominably. Journalists ask if Soviet women can wear makeup at the front. They ask why her uniform makes her look fat. They ask about lipstick and hairstyles and fashion. They call her the girl sniper with patronizing condescension. The questions reveal their priorities. American journalists in 1942 cannot comprehend a woman who fights and kills, cannot accept female competence in warfare, cannot move beyond superficial concerns. Pavlichenko's patience wears thin. Her response in one interview becomes famous. "I wear my uniform with honor. It has the Order of Lenin on it. It has been covered with blood in battle." It is plain to see that with American women, what is important is whether they wear silk underwear under their uniforms. What the uniform stands for, they have yet to learn. The rebuke is sharp, deserved. American journalists learn nothing from it. The questions about appearance continue. Eleanor Roosevelt intervenes. She arranges a national speaking tour, brings Pavlichenko to labor rallies, to war bond drives, to factory floors, to shipyards, places where working people gather, people who understand sacrifice, people who appreciate what the Soviet Union endures. The response is dramatically different. Workers cheer. They applaud. They understand immediately what she represents. Courage under fire. Competence under pressure. Victory against overwhelming odds. The Chicago speech in autumn 1942 becomes legendary. Pavlichenko stands before large crowd in packed auditorium. The audience is primarily men, working men, union men, men of military age who have not yet enlisted. She looks at them. She speaks through her interpreter with controlled anger. "Gentlemen, I am 25 years old, and I have killed 309 fascist invaders by now. Don't you think, gentlemen, that you have been hiding behind my back for too long?" The words land like artillery shells. Silence follows. Then roaring approval. The crowd erupts. The message is received. The shame is acknowledged. Enlistments increase following her tour. She travels across America, Canada, England. Everywhere she receives gifts. The United States government presents her with a Colt semi-automatic pistol. In Toronto, she receives a Winchester Model 70 rifle equipped with a Weaver telescopic sight. The rifle is now displayed at the Central Armed Forces Museum in Moscow. In Coventry, England, she accepts donations of £4,516 from local workers to pay for 3 X-ray units for the Red Army. The tour raises money, raises awareness, raises support for opening the Second Front. Whether it hastens that decision is unclear. Operation Torch in North Africa comes November 1942. Operation Husky in Sicily comes July 1943. Operation Overlord in Normandy comes June 1944. The Second Front opens eventually. Whether Pavlichenko's tour influences timing is impossible to determine. During her American visit, Eleanor Roosevelt invites the Soviet delegation to Hyde Park, the Roosevelt estate in New York. Pavlichenko spends extended time with the president and his wife. Eleanor even alters a set of her own pajamas so Pavlichenko can wear them. As Pavlichenko changes clothing, Eleanor notices a long reddish forked scar arcing from shoulder to spine. "Where did that come from?" Eleanor asks. "Shrapnel wound from Sevastopol," Pavlichenko replies. One of 4 combat wounds she suffered. Eleanor impulsively hugs her and kisses her forehead. "What dreadful ordeals you've had to endure," she says. Pavlichenko is moved by the gesture. Genuine human compassion, genuine understanding, genuine friendship offered without pretense or political calculation. The two women begin corresponding after Pavlichenko returns to the Soviet Union. They write about family news, interesting literary items, their respective trips to peace congresses. The letters continue through the years, through the remainder of the war, through the beginning of Cold War tensions. Despite ideological differences between their countries, their personal friendship endures. September 1942 brings Pavlichenko returning to Soviet Union. She is promoted to major. She receives the Gold Star of the Hero of the Soviet Union. She receives the Order of Lenin twice. The decorations recognize her service, her sacrifice, her effectiveness. She never returns to combat. She spends remainder of the war training other snipers, teaching her techniques, sharing her experience, helping create the next generation of Soviet sharpshooters. Her students kill hundreds of enemy soldiers. Her influence extends beyond her personal 309. War's end in May 1945 brings transition to civilian life. She returns to Kiev University, completes her studies, graduates with degree in history. She becomes historian as originally planned, works as senior researcher for the Soviet Navy, publishes articles, writes memoirs, tries to resume normal life. The attempt is only partially successful. The war never leaves her. The memories never fade. The 309 faces never disappear. She lives with them until death. 1957 brings Eleanor Roosevelt visiting Moscow. The former First Lady is adamant. She will not leave Soviet Union without visiting her old friend Lyudmila Pavlichenko. Soviet authorities are reluctant. Cold War tensions are high. Allowing an American former First Lady to meet privately with Soviet citizens creates security concerns. Eleanor persists. Eventually, her request is granted. She is brought to the small two-room apartment in Moscow where Pavlichenko lives. The reunion is emotional. 15 years have passed since their last meeting. Both women have aged. Both have lost people they loved. Both have endured hardships. A Soviet government handler sits nearby during the visit. The conversation is formal initially. Careful. Monitored. Then Pavlichenko invents an excuse, pulls Eleanor into the bedroom, away from the handler. The two women laugh together, catch up properly, reminisce about the summer of 1942. The speaking tour across America, the friendships formed, the hopes they shared. The moment is brief. The handler interrupts, but the friendship is reaffirmed. The bond remains despite political barriers, despite ideological differences, despite Cold War hostility. Personal friendship transcends politics. October 10, 1974 brings the end. Lyudmila Mikhailovna Pavlichenko dies of stroke. She is 58 years old. The cause is never fully explained. Stress from the war, depression from post-traumatic stress disorder, physical damage from combat wounds, genetic predisposition. Likely all these factors combined. She is buried with full military honors. The Soviet state she served remembers her properly. Veterans attend. Other snipers pay respects. The woman who killed 309 fascists receives the recognition she earned. Her legacy is complicated. She killed 309 human beings. This fact cannot be ignored or minimized. 309 men died because she aimed her rifle at them and squeezed the trigger. Whether they deserved to die is a different question. Whether killing them was justified depends on one's view of the war. The men she killed were invaders. They came to conquer, to enslave, to exterminate. They represented genocidal ideology. Fighting them was necessary. Killing them saved Soviet lives, saved Soviet territory, saved Soviet future. By this logic, her actions were not only justified, but heroic. By different logic, killing is always wrong regardless of justification. 309 deaths is 309 tragedies, 309 families destroyed, 309 futures erased, 309 human beings reduced to numbers on a tally sheet. Pavlichenko herself struggles with this dichotomy. In interviews, she speaks of hunters' satisfaction from killing predators. Every living and healthy German would easily kill a woman, a child, anyone. That means by killing Germans, I save lives. The rationalization is necessary for psychological survival. Without it, the guilt would be crushing. The modern assessment acknowledges both truths. Pavlichenko was an exceptionally skilled sniper who served her country effectively. She also personally killed hundreds of human beings. Both statements are factual. Both statements are uncomfortable. History cannot resolve this tension. Individuals must judge for themselves whether the circumstances justified the actions. What is certain is her competence. 309 confirmed kills in 11 months is extraordinary by any standard. Male or female, Soviet or German or American or British. The number places her among the most effective combat snipers in military history. Her 36 sniper duel victories are particularly impressive. Sniper versus sniper combat requires patience, skill, discipline beyond normal requirements. She excelled at it. Never lost. Never even was wounded during a duel. That record is unique. Her gender is relevant but not determinant. Being female made her service remarkable in 1941. The Soviet Union was progressive in allowing women in combat roles. 2,000 female snipers served. Hundreds of female pilots flew combat missions. Thousands of women served in support roles. Gender integration far exceeded Western militaries. Yet even in Soviet system, female combat soldiers were unusual, noteworthy, remarkable. Pavlichenko's success as a female sniper became propaganda tool, proof that Soviet women were equal to men, proof that Soviet system was superior. The propaganda value was immense. The reality was more complex. Female snipers had certain advantages: smaller physical profile, less expected by enemies, greater patience in some cases, but they also faced disadvantages: less physical strength for carrying equipment, less accepted by male soldiers initially, greater psychological burden from societal expectations. Pavlichenko succeeded despite and because of these factors. Her determination to prove that girls could do as well as boys drove her from childhood. That competitiveness fueled her success as sniper. She would not be outdone, would not accept second place, would not tolerate failure. This psychology made her effective, also made her isolated, also made her haunted. The friendship with Eleanor Roosevelt reveals her humanity. She was not merely killing machine, not merely propaganda tool, not merely statistics and medals. She was person who formed friendships, who wrote letters, who cared about others, who laughed and cried and suffered. The famous photograph of her with Eleanor at Hyde Park shows two women smiling, happy, connected. The photograph reminds viewers that soldiers are human, that warriors are people, that even those who kill can love and be loved. Today, Pavlichenko is remembered differently in different places. In Russia and Ukraine, she is unambiguous national hero, the most effective female sniper in history, defender of the motherland, symbol of Soviet victory. Her name adorns schools and streets. Her story is taught to children. Museums display her rifles and medals. She represents courage, competence, and patriotism. The moral complexity is ignored. Only glory remains. In the West, assessment is more nuanced. Historians acknowledge her effectiveness while questioning the mythology. Some details of her story are likely exaggerated. Soviet propaganda inflated many claims. Exact verification is impossible. The 309 kills might be accurate, might be higher, might be lower. Witnesses were required, but witnesses can be pressured. Records can be altered. Truth becomes uncertain. What remains certain is that she fought. She killed effectively. She survived. She became symbol. These facts are undeniable. The question persists. What drove a 24-year-old history student to become killer? Patriotism, certainly. The Germans invaded her homeland, killed her countrymen, threatened everything she knew. Fighting back was natural response. But why sniping specifically? Why the cold patience of long-range killing rather than the intensity of close combat? The answer lies in her personality. Competitive, precise, methodical, patient. These characteristics suited sniping perfectly. She found her calling in warfare. This is disturbing truth. Some people discover they are good at killing. Pavlichenko was one of them. She never glorified killing after the war, never celebrated the 309, spoke of them matter-of-factly when required, but did not boast, did not take pride in the numbers themselves, understood they represented human cost, understood they were necessary but not good. This distinction is important. She killed without remorse during war, but also without pleasure. Hunter's satisfaction is not the same as enjoyment. She did what was required, did it better than almost anyone, then stopped when war ended, returned to civilian life, became historian. This transition suggests moral awareness, understanding that killing was wartime necessity, not peacetime virtue. The Soviet system used her cynically, paraded her before crowds, displayed her wounds, counted her kills publicly, turned her into propaganda weapon. She accepted this because refusing was not option. Soviet citizens did not refuse party directives. She did what was required, spoke when ordered, appeared where directed, smiled for cameras. The cost was privacy, normalcy, peace. She paid that cost. Whether willingly or not is unclear. The comparison with male snipers is inevitable. Vasily Zaitsev, Mikhail Surkov, Ivan Sidorenko, Simo Häyhä of Finland, all achieved higher kill counts than Pavlichenko. Does this diminish her achievement? No. Her 309 kills in 11 months represents extraordinary effectiveness. Her 36 sniper duel victories are unmatched by most male snipers. She holds her own against any comparison. Gender is irrelevant to effectiveness. Only results matter in combat. Her results speak for themselves. The Mosin Nagant rifle she used was not exceptional weapon by modern standards. Simple bolt-action design from 1891. Heavy, long, powerful recoil, but reliable, accurate enough. Ammunition was powerful and widely available. The PU scope was adequate for 800-meter shots. Better optics existed but were not available to Soviet snipers. She worked with what she had, mastered the weapon through practice and experience, made it extension of herself. This is mark of professional. Superior equipment helps. Skill matters more. She had skill. Her technique combined patience with aggression. She would wait hours for perfect shot. But once opportunity presented, she acted instantly. No hesitation. No second guessing. Pull trigger. Cycle bolt. Acquire next target. Repeat. This rhythm became automatic, mechanical. divorced from emotion, necessary for psychological survival. Thinking about the human cost during combat is fatal. Snipers cannot afford empathy during missions. Empathy returns later, in dreams, in memories, in silence. She paid that cost too. The story ends with questions. Was she hero or killer? Both. Was she victim or warrior? Both. Was she propagandist or authentic patriot? Both. History contains multitudes. People contain contradictions. Lyudmila Pavlichenko contains all of these. Understanding her requires accepting complexity, embracing discomfort, acknowledging that war creates situations where killing becomes duty, where normal morality suspends, where survival requires actions that peacetime condemns. She lived in that space for 11 months. Those months defined the remaining 33 years of her life. She was the Soviet student who became most successful female sniper in history. She was Lady Death, who killed 309 fascist invaders. She was friend to Eleanor Roosevelt. She was teacher to other snipers. She was historian and researcher and veteran and survivor. She was all these things simultaneously. The contradictions do not resolve. They coexist. They define her. They make her human. This is Lyudmila Pavlichenko. This is Lady Death. This is how one woman fought the largest war in human history and survived to tell the story.